When you work in big firms, you don't see it as much. But when you're in smaller firms, you get to have that one-on-one with the owner of the firm. And, you're on like the first name basis and you get to know this person outside of work. Definitely, it creates that like environment where you're like, I hate that I'm leaving you because I want to do something else, but it was a great experience. So it's not just in the restaurant businesses, it's everywhere.
Welcome to the Financial Advantage with GSS, the video series designed for CFOs and financial leaders in the restaurant industry who are committed to optimizing operations, enhancing financial strategies, and driving sustainable growth. Each episode explores the complexities of restaurant finance through expert insights, real-world success stories, and in-depth conversations with industry leaders. From managing compliance to scaling operations, we provide actionable strategies to help your business stay ahead in a competitive market. Let's get started.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Financial Advantage. I'm Nick, and believe it or not, we are on episode number 6. And today we're going to talk all about HR and payroll and how that works in multi-unit organizations. I'm super excited to have our guest. It's Melissa. Melissa is the General Counsel and HR Manager at AES, which is Accurate Employee Solutions. I got a bunch of questions. She's got a bunch of answers. So without further ado, Melissa, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hi, Nick. Thank you for having me. So like you said, my name is Melissa. My last name is Duque. I am actually the Associate General Counsel and HR Manager for Accurate Employer Solutions. I have been with Accurate Employer Solutions since March of this year. Accurate Employer Solutions is a HR outsourcing company. We handle payroll, employee benefits, benefits administration, workers' comp for our clients. We don't have to do all of this for you. You, the client, get to select what portions of what the services that we offer you want to retain us for. So I am an attorney. I am licensed to practice in New York, South Carolina, and Florida. I started my legal career as a prosecutor in Beaufort, South Carolina, where I prosecuted criminal cases. And then sometime thereafter, I switched to the other side and I defended in criminal defendants in Beaufort County, South Carolina. And then sometime during the pandemic, I don't know what possessed me to take another bar exam. And I ended up taking the Florida bar exam because my family, I was commuting a lot to Florida. Like I was in South Carolina and I was driving every other weekend to visit my family here in Florida. So during the pandemic, since things slowed down, I was like, let me take the Florida bar exam. So I had to take everything from scratch, essentially, like my first bar exam. And I passed. And then I just got hired. I started working. Instead of doing criminal work, I switched to the other side of litigation and I started working civil litigation. I started my career here in Florida as the insurance defense attorney, essentially defending, personal injury, insurance defense type of lawsuits. And at some point, I went in-house and I was defending employment cases for a in-house nursing home management company here in Florida. And that's where my spark for employment law got ignited. Employment law is just, for me, just in my opinion, is that one area of the law where the facts are always changing and there's always something new. Your cases are never going to be the same. For me, it's like the best of all of the areas that I have practiced. It's like I hold a very special place in my heart for employment law. And then just prior to joining AES, I was working at an insurance defense firm that's based out of Pittsburgh. We have an office here in Tampa, and I was doing insurance defense and a little bit of employment. And because I started my master's in labor and employment sometime this summer, I wanted to get back into doing mostly employment and HR and those type of things, which is how I came across a job opening in LinkedIn for AES. And I was like, you never know, let me apply. And here I am 6 months later with Accurate Employer Solutions. And it's been such a great experience. kid you not, I think I learn something new every day in this company.
Well, that's awesome. So your background is a lot of experience. That's what I got out of that. And you know what you're doing. So that's awesome. Very cool.
That's the thing, you have to, and I always say that because you have to know what you're doing and you have to be passionate about what you're doing because it makes you a better employee and you deliver better results. And I mean, I've been like that since I was a kid fresh out of high school. I wanted to enlist in the Army, and my family did not support my idea to join the Army. And I joined the Army, and it was like the best decision ever made. And here I am now because of that one decision when I was a 17-year-old girl.
Look at you. And you're a veteran. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I am a veteran.
I tried to join the Army, believe it or not. My brother was in the Army. And I was too big. I was a big boy. I was very heavy, and I couldn't get in there with my weight. And then they put like a thing around my neck and around my waist, and it was like a tape test. And I still failed. I still failed that. And and that was very humbling for me because I was an athlete, but I was like, oh boy. I still remember the guy at the recruitment office saying, he said, boy, you need to get in shape. And I was like, okay. And I still hear those words, and now I'm a big fitness guy. I love fitness. I love staying in shape. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool.
So yeah, no, I mean, that was the best decision I ever made as I guess, almost an 18-year-old. I am going to enjoy the Army. There's not, it happened right before the war in Iraq started. So my family was like, oh no, you're not going to do this. And you have to follow your heart because that's the only way you can be happy. So that was the first decision I ever made that has led me to where I am today.
Well, very cool. Well, I can hear the passion in your voice. So I'm super excited to dive into these questions and get some real truth and honesty out of them. So we're both.
I am going to try my best. I promise.
So we're both in the outsourcing world. So obviously our listeners know that we do accounting work, accounting, financial, CFO services, bookkeeping, etc. We understand the value of that. So now you outsource the HR, the payroll, and the things in my experience. So I used to be a former owner operator of a franchise myself. And this was probably, I would say, the most worry it gave me was making sure I was following the law and making sure that I was paying people on time and making sure I was filing the correct taxes and doing all of these things. Now, I only was able to open up one restaurant. I was trying to open up multi. I just couldn't figure it out, but insert a team that owns 5, 6, 7 of them. How valuable is it to outsource it to a team like you to take all of that burden and worry off of them?
So I will definitely say that when you outsource your HR to companies like your company, my company, so obviously you are yourself, you're not an expert in every area of the law. And that's where those partnerships with companies with AES and GSS come into play because we have, specialized folks in different areas of HR, whether that be payroll, benefits administration, compliance. And compliance is like such a big deal nowadays because you have to make sure that you stay on top of those ongoing changes in regulation, especially with the wage and hour rules and FLSA. And if new Supreme Court opinions or those type of things are issued and become effective by a certain date, you want to make sure that your clients that are in different states are aware of those ongoing changes. So partnerships with your company, my company, help our clients make sure that they stay in compliance with the ongoing changes in the law. And then every so often, here we go, the FLSA gets changed to a different, the FLSA, the Fair Labor Standards Act, they went back to whatever test they used to determine whether or not someone is a contractor or an employee. So you have to stay on top of all of those ongoing changes so that your clients can essentially be operating under the law. So definitely believe, I truly believe that having that type of relationship with a company like your company, my company, helps business owners stay compliant in multiple jurisdictions.
Right. Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, a lot of our clients, they have restaurants in 7, 8, 9, 10 states and all these different jurisdictions and municipalities. And That's got to be exhausting, keeping up with all that. So you guys are the experts. Yeah. Let
And
somebody.
and it is a lot to manage. Because, I mean, just think about it this way: as a business owner, right? You have to, if you don't have a system like your company, my company, giving you that support, you are the business owner, you're the operator. You have to, in addition to making sure that you're paying your employees on time, that you're keeping on track with the ongoing changes in the law, and not just in one location, but in multiple locations that are in different cities, different states, and then within those cities and states, each county or there's a local ordinance that you also have to abide by. So that's where there that's where companies like your company and my company come into play to help you take that, I guess, weight off your shoulder per se.
Right. And also, I mean, so a lot of companies, what they want to do too is they want to have somebody in-house do it. We come across it all the time. Oh, we have a person that's, accounts payable or a bookkeeper, and they know some accounting, and it's okay, but you got to pay them. They got to show up to work, and they also have to know exactly what they're doing. And you guys know exactly what you're doing, and you have a huge office and a bunch of employees to support them. So they're always going to show up and they're always going to do the work. So not only do you guys keep them compliant, you also take care of the worry of attrition, quitting, or anybody else, just not showing up to work. Being an owner operator myself, it's like, it was me. It was just me, and
Right.
if I was sick, if I was tired, it was, hey, still got to get it done. You still got to
And
get it.
And it's not an excuse. If you're sick or, I wasn't feeling well today, so I couldn't run payroll, like you still have to pay your employees on time. You still have to do run your reports or whatever it is that you got going on by a certain day. Otherwise, you can get in a lot of trouble. And that's one of those things that when you have a company like your company and my company that's handling these things for you on the back end and making sure that you remain compliant and that your employee issues are being taken care of by a professional, that you can actually run your business and you don't have that extra stress on your shoulders that I have to take care of this. All of these things get taken. We essentially come in to make your life easier as a business owner operator.
Right. So speaking of that, is there like one example that pops to mind? I know you've been there a few months now, but give me a client, like give me a real world example where you got inserted.
It's tough for you. So it's not based on my own experience. I have only been here for 6 months, but I have the privilege of working with another attorney. She is the general counsel here for Accurate Employer Solutions, Edwina Maxwell.
Yeah.
And she has been in this line of business for, I want to say, over 25 years. I was hoping that she was going to join us today, but our schedules are always so busy. But anyway, so Edwina, her experience is just amazing. She has a book,
I
HR
know.
Confidential. Like, this book is amazing. So, and the benefits of working with her, I promise you, she and I are on the phone every day when she's not in the office, and we talk for a long time. And one of the benefits of working with her is that she's always sharing her wisdom and her knowledge. And I truly appreciate that of her because I feel like she's mentoring me and providing me with that. Like, okay, maybe you need to know a little bit more about this. So we do have a client here at AES. And, when I was trying to get an idea of why the client is the way he is, or like, I'm trying to understand and learn how to essentially communicate well with this client, make sure that, I don't ruffle any feathers. So she was telling me, like, prior to us bringing this client on board, that this particular client was trying to expand his business. And he's a franchisee owner, and he was not able to, he couldn't do it before we came on board because his operations team was, I guess, very, very burdened with what they had to do in the restaurant that they had to manage and cover. So when we came on board, we took over all of his back office needs, everything related to employee relationships we handle for that client. So once we took over that added stress or weight of the client's shoulder, he was able to actually, the coordinator position, I think he marked it as a marketing position. And then the money that was in the budget for HR he used it to hire an additional district manager. And what that did was that the districts were, I guess, realigned so that the district managers had less miles to cover, less restaurants to visit and be responsible for. And 2 years after we came on board, he was able to actually purchase additional locations. And that was because of the added focus on operations, which he was able to do because we essentially took over all of the back office needs that a client had.
Whoa. So, okay. I think I know who you're talking about. I think they're also a client of ours.
Yeah, so I don't know.
We won't say it by name, but it's a big major brand, and they're growing, and they do a very good job, and they turn their business around. And the way they were able to do it was they started to outsource. They started to outsource their financial operations, and then their HR and their payroll operations. And then look what happened. They were able to invest in marketing. A person invest in more marketing, invest in more leadership and district manager. And not only are they getting experts to do, A and B, but now look what they're doing. They're getting more people in the store, getting more presence, get more leadership, get more management, more coverage. And what happens there is you're able to even get bigger and bigger.
And you're able to grow. And, and the other thing is what that also does when your managers are more involved and they're on the ground, essentially with their team and providing that support to their team members, you don't have them in the office, checking numbers, double checking time sheets and making sure that before payroll is run, I have to go and check this spreadsheet to make sure that the hours are right, that employees get paid, that if there's any wage garnishment order that needs to be taken care of, that they're in the office doing all of that. That when you hire a company like yours or mine, we handle that for you. Like we get all of those orders like when we get wage garnishment orders for our clients, we process those with payroll. It's already taking care of everything in the background. So like that, it helps you as a restaurant owner.
And so speaking of personal experience, I love being inside my restaurant. I love being there. And I was able to set the tone, the culture, the work ethic, and expectations. And since you're outsourcing these administrative-like duties, you're able to spend more time in your facility. And what I'm thinking right away is my employees that I had at the time, they loved working, not with just me, just with my leadership style, that community, that went down to the shift managers and the general manager and all this stuff. They just liked it. I made it friendly. I made it light, and I didn't have to worry about things. And what that related to was employee retention. They wanted to stay. They wanted to work. And then they also told on to their friends, man, you got to come check this place out. It's not just a restaurant to work at. It's kind of fun. It's fun, and so I'm assuming that's what's happening here too, by able to outsource that. And the employee retention rates are probably through the roof, right?
Yeah. And that's literally what happens, when you're outsourcing all of your back office functions to a company like my company, your company, you do see that there is a significant positive impact in employee retention and turnover rates because the employees get to see you more often. They know who you're dealing with. And then on the back end, they know that there's an HR system supporting them. They know that their payroll is going to be there on time, that someone is handling their employee relations issues, anything related to training. There's someone taking care of that. And when you're there on the boots on the ground with your employees, it sends that message that the company values you, that you take their needs and their experience in your company, in your restaurant, you take them seriously. And that they're not just a number that you're trying to check off in your, how many employees I need list. So I definitely think that outsourcing some of your back office needs helps in employee retention. And it also addresses the common drivers of turnover rates because low morale, inconsistent training, and unresolved employee issues, we take care of that for you. So when there's an employee relations issue, we are the ones that handle that for you instead of your manager being the one doing the investigation or any of those type of things. We're the ones that do that for you and then inform you so that you can then at the time make a decision as the business owner as to what you want to do moving forward. So I definitely 100% think that when your employees get to see and spend time with you as a business owner, or even if you're just the manager of the restaurant, they get to create that relationship with you and feel
Right.
comfortable. And definitely want to stay and want your friends to come in. Hey, come work here. I remember prior to joining the Army, I worked and it was a store in New York City. And it felt like home because the owner was there all the time. That when it was time for me to go to the Army, I was like, oh my God, I felt conflicted for a moment. I don't want to leave, but I also have to. But
Yep.
yes, so definitely based on my own experience, when someone, you put a face to the company and you create that relationship with your employer or the business owner, definitely. And even in the legal profession.
Right.
When you work in big firms, you don't see it as much. But when you're in smaller firms, you get to have that one-on-one with the owner of the firm, and you're on like the first name basis, and you get to know this person outside of work. Definitely, it creates that like environment where you're like, I hate that I'm leaving you because I want to do something else, but it was a great experience. So it's not just in the restaurant businesses, and it's everywhere.
Right. You're 100% right. Yeah. And another thing you guys do, and you guys pay people on time. That's, if you don't pay an employee, they're gone. Especially the ones in the restaurant world. They are.
You can get exposed to a whole lot of different things.
Yep.
Like the first thing if and when I came across when I was litigating anything related to FLSA litigation, I was like, I hate these lawsuits because if the employee doesn't get, if you're not keeping track, like, you need to have a system in place for like, okay, did your employee take lunch? Did they not take lunch? Did they clock in and out? And if they didn't, then you have to pay them. Unless you have a system in place that is keeping track of these things, because what you want to avoid, and it happens all the time, is the employee who 3 years ago claimed he did not take lunch for a whole year because he was working through lunch, and 3 years later you get slammed with an FLSA lawsuit because our records show that the employee didn't take lunch. And when you do those things in-house, there's a lot of like mistakes that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we come on board and we're like, oh, no, FLSA lawsuits. I was like, oh, no. You can take them away. They're like the worst.
Yeah. Nothing is better. Like when I used to get, notices in the mail, for, unemployment or wrongful termination and all these things. And, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of stress. I had to show up to court meetings. I had to show up to, phone call stuff. And it was just, it was a lot of work and a lot of stress and a lot of time. Nothing is better for an owner or an operator to say, I've got a team that handles that. When you say that, you're like, I got a team that handles that. And they're experts. And then they go, huh. You're just like, ha, 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 ha.
It is the best. And I enjoy it because we do, before a thing becomes a lawsuit or, a workers' complaint or a unemployment benefit, like I get to see all of that come in and I'm like, okay, this one, I can see why. And then you get the crazy ones where like, oh, this is not how things went down. And, we already have everything from the client, and then we work with outside counsel to make sure that everything gets taken care of, and we provide them with all the support that they need. Obviously, we're not doing the litigation in-house. There are certain things that go to the outside attorney, but we are making sure that before it even becomes a thing, we handle it in-house the right way. So, sometimes you come across, so this is why employment law, it is just amazing because the stories are always so different.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of things going on. Your firm handles a lot of clients, a lot of situations, a lot of jurisdictions, a lot of municipalities. So how does your firm handle all of that? Is there like software? Is there, AI? In our space, software is everywhere. We're going to replace accountants with this, that, and this, that. Is that coming to fruition in the, in the employee solution space?
So for the most, I don't know if I can say the name of the company or the system that we use, but we have this program here at AES that I promise you is the best thing out there, because I have to do certain reporting for compliance. And this is the same system that we use for running payroll. And this is the same system that we use for making sure that the HSA deductions and everything else, health benefits are is accounted for. So there is definitely automation plays a huge part in making sure that we're able to do what we do to avoid, I guess, human errors. So we do have a system that essentially does everything as far as payroll, time tracking, compliance reporting, benefits administration, and it does a lot for us. So we also have a great team of employees here at AES, and we each have our own like knowledge of what we do and how we do it. And when we don't know the answer to a question, there is always here. There's someone here who knows how to run the report better than I do. So you can create your own reports based on what you need the system to generate for you. And then it is for different states. We have clients in different states. So like at some point when I have to renew one of our licenses, I have to go to this report to go to this system to run a report regarding wages and those type of numbers that I need to make sure I have accurately based on what was reported to the state, what our system has, make sure that everything matches so that when I file or make sure that our licenses are up to date in the states that we operate, that system that we have is like a lifesaver.
And then so explain to me how that system is ran. It's ran by your group, but also trained at the unit level. And so everything that goes in is accurate and everything that goes out is accurate, right? So you do it remotely. Is that right?
Yeah. So,
okay.
And I wish, I know you got to meet Jackie, I want to say 2 weeks ago, maybe. She is the guru of everything. And the system is called ISO. Mm-hmm. Everything that happens in ISO, she's the guru. And like that program is the best thing it is my go-to for when I need a report for wages for this state, or what if I need a report for like APA compliance that you have to make sure that you do your look back reports and all of those things. The report does it for you.
Yeah, I met Jackie a few times. She's smart. She's great. She's right to the point. She makes it. You're like, yeah, cool. Let's do it. Like, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I tried to be Jackie at some point, and I'm like, I was trying to do this, and she's like, oh no, I can do it. She is amazing. So in the legal profession, we have what's called Westlaw and LexisNexis, and that's like our databases where we go and do legal research. Mm-hmm. So when someone, like when I meet attorneys who are like on top, like they can cite cases and give you the citation like this, I'm like, oh my God, you're like my Westlaw, because you really know what case you're pointing me to and you're giving me the citation. I have a friend in South Carolina. He's Westlaw for me, because when I have questions, just go and look up, and like literally off the top of his head, give you the case by name and by citation. And Jackie is like my Westlaw for ISO, because she just knows how to system, and she doesn't even have to be in front of it to know what is it that I'm doing wrong or what's happening. So she is like the guru when it comes to the system. Definitely.
Wow. So systems are in place for sure. We rely on systems as well. Being 100% outsourced and remote, the system is a huge component of it, but it's also the people, right? And you mentioned Jackie and your team, and it's the system is one thing, but the people that run the system, that monitor the system, that use the system, that's way more valuable than I think the system itself. But but speaking of like systems, in your line of work, what's the next trend? What are we seeing come into the pipeline when it comes to systems or just people or just approaches in your industry? What's the next thing we're looking at?
I definitely want to say full integration and intelligent automation. Those are like those things that are coming down the pipe, and we're almost there, because, there are systems already there that are like the system that we have that integrate payroll, compliance reporting, time tracking, all of that in one platform that makes everything seamless for the operator. And we're coming to that point where not only is it just that, it's also learning and development for some of your employees. Like there are some platforms that, and even ISO has what we call ISO University, where you can go and learn how to do certain things. So all of those automation for a business is I think what will make an employer provide its employees with the tools they need to succeed in whatever it is that they're doing.
Right. So you said integrations and automations. And integrations, are you maybe talking about, it integrates to the other technology in the business?
Yes, and communicate. Like, for example, ISO has the capabilities of filing certain things with the IRS. So like it communicate. Yeah. So that's one of those things. So you have to make sure on one end that you do whatever it is that you have to do to apply to be able to do that with the IRS, go through that process. And then the system itself provides you with the ability. It's a process. So you apply to be able to file taxes or file certain documents with the IRS. Then they approve you. Then you have to obtain a certificate from a different company. And then that's the certificate that you will use to upload into iSolve so that iSolve and the IRS system communicate essentially. So that literally is one of those things where you don't have to do things manually anymore. You can integrate these systems so that they can communicate, and there's more accuracy, because when you leave things to us humans to do, there is a lot of room for error. And especially with filing taxes, that is that one place where you do not want to have this type of error, because the IRS is not very forgiving.
Yeah,
So,
we know that for sure. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, yeah, I don't have any questions about that. I mean, that's just all the buzz in our world too. Integrations, automations, AI this, AI that. But it always comes down to what I deal with talking with clients and prospects. It's always, is it going to replace you guys? Is it going to replace your team? Do I need you? And you're like, you still need somebody.
still need one,
to
because
drive the car, to drive the bus or whatever. And yeah, so
look what happened with Tesla cars. Look what happened when even attorneys, my peers, make these mistakes with, okay, we get AI to generate this fake case law for us, and then we end up putting this on a motion, filing it with the court, and then there's people that will sit there and go in the Westlaw and verify that the citation, this is a fake citation, and then you get reprimanded publicly, and we all get the yes, it's a thing. Like, I mean, here in Florida, we do it a lot. The Florida bar makes sure that when other attorneys make this type of mistake in other states. I think it was Louisiana a few months back. I want to say it was a Morgan & Morgan attorney that filed a motion and used fake case law that was AI generated. Like, we can't let AI run the show. There's always, there needs to be a human component to it. Similarly with Tesla and the vehicle, there needs to be someone there to monitor and make sure that the ball doesn't drop, or that there's a glitch in the system. And now, oopsie, we dropped the ball. No, there is no excuses. So yeah.
I hear you. Yeah, I have a Tesla.
Oh.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my God.
Those self-driving Teslas or just a regular one?
Well, as soon as you get comfortable with it, it just puts you into a reality check. You're like, oh, you were going to hit that telephone pole if I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Yeah. Well, what you were talking about a few minutes ago, like my heart started to race a little bit. It brought me back into the days of owning the restaurant and just all of the complexities that was going on. And that's the stuff that kept you up at night. You're just like, am I doing it right? I'm not going to get sued, am I? Oh my gosh, am I going to be able to make payroll? Did I do payroll right? Did I do taxes right? Oh my, did I actually terminate that person correctly and legally? And, did I follow this, follow that? And and I'm just a guy that invested into a business, and I was like, I can make this work. I had no idea what I was doing. No idea, but I can make food and I can lead. And that's what I was doing. But so thank you to you and your team for sure for taking that on and enjoying it. You're crazy for enjoying something like that.
I have always been told that I am crazy for when I tell you that I enjoyed being in the Army as soon as the war started. Like, I loved that time of my life. Like, if I was able to go back and do it, I would do it all over again. Then, you're a prosecutor, and it was a little scary at the beginning. But I enjoyed it. And then I always have this mindset where I also want to know what it's like to do things on the other side. And I think it was something that also one of my law school professors taught, but when you learn how to do things on one side and you learn how to do it well, it's always good that you switch to the other side so you know how to essentially poke holes on the other side case. And that is exactly why I switched to the other side. Now I, have to defend different criminals. And at the beginning, I had a very hard time turning that switch off. I'm not prosecuting you now; I'm defending you. So, but I enjoy doing that. So in employment law, I love how it is the equivalent of criminal defense for me, because everything that's happening on the HR or employment aspect of things is like, wow, like sometimes you just, how did we get here? Like
Some of our
it's
listeners
so
might think you're
nice.
crazy. They're like, well, she likes this? What? I can't wait to get this off of my plate. That's good for you. Good for you.
I've dealt with crazy clients litigating. I've had crazy cases, and I'm like, they're the best cases. My family is all big thing. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm dead inside, but it is. I enjoy these type of cases or doing this type of work. I truly do. It, like when I wake up every morning to come here, I love it. Like I just love coming here. The office and how we work, operate here as a team is like the best. And just so far, God has been good to me, because every place that I have been has been a great experience for me. Like
Well,
that's
amen
it.
to that. Amen to that. That's awesome. Hey, let me ask you this question. This one might be maybe tricky, maybe not.
Let's
So
see.
in our world of outsourcing in the financial space, there's a lot of myths. A lot of myths. Like I could go into a ton of them. When I'm on calls with prospects and clients, it's, well, I heard this about that. You're like, where'd you hear that? Are there any myths or like bad perceptions about outsourcing HR and payroll?
Yes. And the top one that we hear, and that I literally heard last month because we onboarded a new client, was you lose control. You, the company owner, you, the leader, you lose control of your company. And that is just not true at all. Like what outsourcing HR does, like I have said previously, we take the administrative weight off your shoulder so that you can run your business and operate your restaurant or whatever it is that line of business you're in. You still get to run your company, set the culture, you call the shots. We are simply taking care of your back office needs. So definitely that one we heard last month when we onboarded a new client, and they were under the impression that they lose control. They don't have control of anything. And we're like, no, this is your stuff, your data. You tell us how you want things done and we will execute for you. Like you run the shot and we come in to complement whatever systems, whatever process you already have in place. We're either going to continue doing that, or we're going to make adjustments that is going to not only make your life easier, but our life is also easier to make sure that we deliver the service that you're retaining us to do for you. So definitely that one, that you lose control. Edwin and I were, no, that is really not true. But yeah, definitely that one.
We get the same exact thing. And my
Right?
answer, yeah, we always, well, my finances and my banks and my money and all this and all that, it's very intimate to me. That's very personal. And I want to maintain control over that. And we're like, whoa, hold on. You're not losing any control. You're actually gaining control, because we're going to do it right. And we're going to give you the access and the reports, and you're going to see it all. And then you're going to be able to do whatever you want with it. That's what you need. And then they're like, wait, I'm getting more control? I'm like, yeah, we're going to integrate with your systems, your processes, your way of doing things. We're going to put our experience on it. We're going to make sure we do it correctly and legally, etc. And then we give everything for you to do that you need to do. And once we get over that hump, it's usually people that outsource to us, give it like 6 months. They go, I should have done this years ago. Most of them say that. I should have done this years ago. What was I thinking? And I'm like, man, I wish I could wave a magic wand and tell that to everybody. It's not.
When one of these tech companies creates that time machine that we're all waiting from back in the future, maybe then we can go back and make it happen.
Maybe.
Maybe then, if you really want to go back and,
I'll be one of those
change your
DeLoreans
story.
and go 80 miles an hour and see what happens. Well, that's cool. I mean, I could talk to you about, specifics and all of this stuff all day. But just from a high level, I think our listeners got a good idea of what you guys do, the value you bring to the industry, and, a potential of why they should outsource it. We can recap all of that, but people can just go back in the episode and listen. Is there anything else you want to leave with? Maybe say anything you want to say. What do you want to leave the podcast on?
Outsourcing, definitely. Outsourcing to companies like GSS and AES definitely will take that weight off your shoulders. We make sure that you remain compliant. And if that's something that's on the back of your mind where, you have gotten into this issue before and now, you're ready to let go and let us take over, we will take over for you and make sure that, you stay in track and you stay in compliant because that's what we're here to do. And we are quite well at what we do.
I'm right with you. Amen, Melissa. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for joining.
It has been so fun.
We'll do it again.
I realize time really went by fast.
It does. Doesn't it go fast? All right. You have a great weekend.
You too. Take care.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to The Financial Advantage with GSS, the video series for restaurant CFOs and financial professionals striving for operational excellence and strategic success. If you found this episode insightful, don't forget to subscribe to The Financial Advantage with GSS on your preferred platform, or visit gsslp.com for additional resources. We'll see you next time.